Sound. All right, Shannon, I've got it up if we're ready to, or basically ready. So let's see, that was. Oh, it was the start live streaming. That's what it was, correct? Yeah, Facebook Live.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I hate the sound of cracked knuckles. Have you not ever cracked yours then?
Not very often. And it's only hands, like,
Back.
because I pop my neck and stuff like that.
I have a friend who'll, like, if he goes to, like, shake your hand, he'll pop your thumb. That's the one I don't like, is when he pops my thumb. Or watching people crack their first knuckle.
What's the title?
Create a resume with Google Docs.
So you want to go ahead and start streaming now?
Do we want to do that just to give people time? Because I didn't know what you and Lisa have been doing.
Like I said, we did like 10, 15 minutes at the most. So
if we want to wait a few minutes. Then.
Okay. So then all you'd have to do is hit start streaming when you're ready.
Okay.
Let me get pulled up over here. So
Look at chat.
yeah. And do you have the screen, the slide that says
Just that
start? One. Okay.
Yeah. You just said questions can be submitted through the chat during the presentation or after through my contact information.
Yeah.
So Shana, did someone cut y'all's internet line like out on y'all's road or something?
It's usually like a farmer when they're working in the fields. It's still broke.
You said it was going to be end of this week before they.
I don't know. You never know. I mean, I haven't even heard back from them. It was done with it.
That's the one thing I forgot about.
Crazy.
One thing I forgot about moving back to Hancock County was moving back to worse internet.
But you have Spectrum though.
Not where I live. No.
Oh, I thought you said you had Spectrum.
No, we have AT&T. It's either AT&T or I think HughesNet is the other one. And like I've got a little bit faster internet, not anywhere close to what I had here, but like my mom still only has 3 megabyte down, which is, what I was used to a decade ago when I still lived at home.
Yeah, we can only have we have DSL. That's the only option.
DSL.
Drives me crazy.
Especially if like too many people are trying to do anything, and it just kills it for all of you all.
Oh yeah. Like you can't watch TV and be on Facebook.
Multiple. You can't have 2 people trying to watch their own thing.
Mm-mm.
Y'all going anywhere for y'all's vacation next week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're just going to Taylor's Lake, which is outside Louisville. Go to state parks.
Have we done none of them have done a direct WebEx yet where they've just joined in? Have they? Where people have joined in on the WebEx instead of just doing it through Facebook, like sending out that link.
You're saying just a web?
Yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
We've done it
No.
all through Facebook.
Yes, I think so. Okay. Do not disturb. Those, you don't have to worry about any voices.
My problem is I almost always leave my phone on silent now, so I'm constantly worried I'm going to miss an actual call or something important because I just don't want it going off when I'm working the desk. I'm going to go ahead and start it now, Shannon.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Trevor Pirard. I'll be doing the presentation today, Create a Resume with Google Docs. I'm the Technical Services Coordinator here at the library. That means I do the public side for technology, so a lot of the classes, a lot of the one-on-one that's done in the library, I'm the one that handles it. Again, I want to thank you for joining. At any time, feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation. This video will be recorded and will be available on Facebook later if you want to go back and watch it. Contact information that you see here on the screen currently will also be posted down below the link later. So let's get started. So, Grow with Google is an initiative to help people learn digital skills, prepare for jobs, and use their creativity and passion through hands-on computer science activities. Today, we're going to work with how to use their documents to create a resume. This is a rough draft of what yours should look like by the end. We're going to show you how to fill this out. A resume should be professional looking, such as this one. You can use a resume to apply for jobs, internships, schools and special programs, and scholarships. Most people think of jobs for them, but that's not everything that they're used for. What they should do is give a first impression of you, describe your qualifications, and show who you are, how you spend your time. They should be error-free, easy to read, and effectively provide a snapshot of who you are. This will be today's agenda. I'll give you a little bit of time later to brainstorm ideas, your experiences for your resume. We'll show you how to create a draft resume in Google Docs and how to edit and format that. So you'll be adding in your background skills, education, and experiences to highlight your individual strengths. By the end, you'll know how to select and use a Google document template, format sections of a document, and download as a file type to send. So step one will be to sign into your Google account. As you can see on the screen, it'll show you where to go. If you don't have one, you can create an account. Fortunately, I can't help you in person today to do that, but if you do have any questions, feel free to email me about it. If you look at the sign in at the bottom, it has that create account button, and you can click on that to create your account. Step two, you'll need to access your Google Drive. So from Google's main page, you can click on the waffle icon as you see on the screen, and then click on Drive. It should be somewhere up near the top. So Google Drive is where all your projects are going to be stored. They're stored in the cloud, which is an online database. So it'll store what you're making now, Sheets, which is their equivalent of Excel, or their Slides, which is their equivalent of PowerPoint. They store automatically, which means they save automatically. You don't have to worry about actually saving them to get them to go. So you don't have to worry about losing hours worth of work, which is nice. So let's work on setting up your resume. So these are the resume sections. You have your contact information, your experience, your education, your skills, and then activities and accomplishments. So that's a lot of information to include in one document, but a strong resume will look professional, organized, and easy to read. So let's move on to the resume templates. You have standard layouts, designs, and formatting elements to look at. A template is a guide for building a document. It provides the standard layout, design, and formatting elements. All you have to do is fill in the appropriate information. Layouts, fonts, and colors may be different, but they're all going to contain the same basic information. It takes away that headache of trying to figure out how you're supposed to build this together. It just makes it as easy as possible for you. So now we have to choose the template. So you'll select new, as you can see here on the screen, and then you'll choose the arrow next to Google Documents, which will take you to the gallery, and you'll select one from there. As you can see, there's a lot of templates to choose from. Just choose one that you like, and then in the top left of your document, when you click it, you can give it a name. And keep in mind that right now we're just working on a draft, so it doesn't need to be perfect. So first, let's update your contact information. This includes your name, address, phone number, and email. To present yourself professionally, you should use an email that is easy to read, relatively short, and avoids too many words or symbols that aren't related to your name. Next, delete the job title if your template has it. People applying for a specialized job will usually include this, so it's not always needed. Remember, you don't need to save anything that we're going to be working on, since Google Drive will automatically save your documents the moment you stop typing. So let's work on your work experience in education now. So we're going to brainstorm work experience. So what you're going to need to know is your name of your employer, your type of work, your location, your dates of employment, and description of what you did. You can be working on your resume as we're doing this, or if you just want to have a sheet next to you to kind of jot these ideas and go back and do it later or watch the video later, feel free to do that as well. So under experiences, try to brainstorm 2 or 3 that you've had. For a student, it might be volunteer work, summer jobs, or community services. Adults who've been in one career for a long time may only have one job that they're going to put as they're looking for something new. I'm going to give you a minute now to be able to brainstorm some ideas and think, and then I'll get back with you. All right, now that that minute's up, hopefully you've been able to brainstorm a couple ideas that you can put down for your work experience. So let's move on to the next step, which is to include measurable details. So you'll want to put how often you work. So in the example here, bi-monthly basis, how much you accomplished during each shift, and then how many items you completed over the course of the project. These details can make a big difference for what you say about your job and what you're trying to get across from it. Next, we're going to work on education history. So you'll include your location of your school, the month and year you started, your graduation date, and GPA. For GPA, high school students can ask teachers for it or their guidance counselor, while college students and adults can more than likely check their transcripts to get their scores. GPA may not be relevant for many adults who've been out of school for a long time, who just go off work experience, or aren't planning to go back to college or work on an internship. Those bits of information may not be all that helpful. And then you'll want to include academic pathways if they're relevant. So maybe someone who's going back to school to become maybe a boilermaker, work with HVAC, electrician, those career paths may be handy to put on their resume. And then any additional schools, if they're relevant, if you've working in a graduate program, so you put your undergraduate and then your grad school when you're working to apply for a job. So this is what your resume should look like at this time. You may have more or less for working experience and education. Again, that's going to be an individual difference between every person's resume. But it should be pretty well formed out besides the skills and awards, which we're going to look at now in the final section. So first we're going to list skills. Here you're going to list useful abilities that you didn't mention in the experience section. First, we'll talk about hard skills. They're technical and job-specific skills and abilities. So using specialty tools or software applications. And then here's some examples. So things such as typing, social media, being able to play an instrument, speaking a foreign language or certifications. Those are hard skills that you just have to learn and spend time studying. And then next are soft skills. They're personal qualities that may relate to how you interact with others. So things such as customer service, being dependable, a good listener, organized, being good with teamwork and being a team player. You'll want to list both hard and soft skills. So you'll want to create a list of 5 to 7 hard and soft skills. As you can see, this example to the right shows a mixture of both. At this time, I'm going to give you another minute to brainstorm some ideas of hard and soft skills. All right, I'm back, and hopefully you've been able to come up with a small list of hard and soft skills. So let's move on to the next thing. I'm going to present a challenge to you for matching skills to a job description. So if you have a job you know you want to apply for, find the job description and edit your skills to match the requirements. We're going to look at an example here. So this one's for a ticket taker. And if you look at the highlighted areas at the top where it says good work ethic, teamwork, and willingness to help, those may be some of the qualities you put in for your own skills or answer customer questions or clean ticket area. It helps match you up with that job and makes you seem like a better candidate because you're showing the qualities that they're searching for as an employer. Now we're going to list awards and activities. So they should be accomplishments that have occurred during a job, as well as those during your free time. You'll want to try to include things that are just from the last 3 to 4 years. So if you look at the example on the right, they mentioned they're an active member of the yearbook club, their years, that they had a photograph published in their newspaper, and that they were Employee of the Month. So any kind of maybe grant or award you got related to work or maybe from the city, or if you were doing volunteer work, all of those things can be super important during this time. So now we're reaching the end where we're going to complete the draft of your resume. I'll give you one more minute to come up with a list of awards and activities, and then we'll move on to that. All right. Hopefully, you've been able to come up with a good list of awards and activities to put down. So let's move on to completing your first draft. So you want to complete your experience section. So you haven't had much time to really write out a lot besides just the basic rough information. So let's fill it out. You'll want to write the company name, location, and job title. You want to add dates. And for dates, add from when you started to when you end. If it's the job you're currently working, make sure to write present as you don't have an end date for it yet. You'll want to split your descriptions into bullet points to make it easier to read. The only time you may not want to do this is if you have a lot of information you're trying to relay, and it would work better as a couple sentences, small paragraph. You'll want to use active verbs. What this means is you'll want to use things like greeted, washed, contributed, things for the past tense for jobs you've performed before. And then you'll want to use, and then always consider your verb tense. So in the top example up here where it says prepare, that's because the job is still currently being performed. They're still doing that. It's not something they did in the past. And then avoid using I or me. The resume is a description of who you are and what you do, so they're unneeded. You don't have to have the I or me in there to explain it's you. You'll want to update your education and awards section. You'll want to do them basically the same way as you just did for work experience. You'll want to get the whole resume roughed out first and then come back for the small details like GPA if it's necessary, because that may require you to have to go find your transcript, go online and get it. Where if you know where your school's at and when you attended, you can write those down really easy and get all the easy work out before you really have to dig in for the details. Now we're going to move on to editing and formatting your resume. Remember, your resume allows someone to quickly learn about you. Should be short and concise, and they don't include every job responsibility. Interviews are where you go into more detail about your responsibilities. Your resume is your foot in the door to get in there to be able to talk about them. You don't want to have your resume look cluttered. So let's look at the last bits of things we need to do to the resume. You should read each section to make sure they flow fluidly, that they make sense, that they're in order, that they're not jumbled all around the place. So your work experiences go from your present job to the one before that to the one before that. So they go from newest to oldest. While jotting them down, you may just write them down on a scrap piece of paper or in a rough draft in whatever form as they come to you, but you'll want to make sure they're reordered. Make sure bullets and descriptions are correct. Just make sure you wrote under the right job or right education, awards, or activities, that you didn't get mistaken and wrote it under the wrong place, that it's in where it needs to be. You'll want to check for grammar errors. Remember that spell check does not always find every mistake. It may catch things it shouldn't. It always catches my last name, even though it's my last name, so I always have to save it in any computer, so it's not giving me an error on it. If you look at the example here where it says Shineworks, it's showing that as being a grammar error when it isn't. So it sometimes catches things it shouldn't, and sometimes doesn't catch things that it should. And then you'll want to look for strong action verbs. So you may want to choose more precise words or use a more concise phrasing. That way it's not long-winded, it's easier to read, it's easier for them to get through your information. And you'll want to make those formatting changes. You want to try to fit your resume into one page as much as possible, so front and back. That way you can hand them one sheet. It's condensed information, which is why it's important to look for more precise wording or concise phrasing. And last, run your spell check. I know I said it may not catch everything, but it is important to run it just to go through your document. One other thing I will recommend, and this personally, it's something I use that I've used with Word documents, Google Documents, writing out emails. It's a program called Grammarly, Grammarly. It will look at what you're writing and give you recommendations on your spelling, your formatting, and can actually rate how well your writing is. It's pretty nice for doing more professional type writing. And then once you're done, you need to share your resume. And there's multiple ways you can do this. You can print your resume out. If you come down here to the bottom left after clicking on file up here, you can hit print to print it out in the way you want. So if you want to print it on, say, nicer cardstock like paper or a glossy paper to make it stand out a little more, a lightly colored paper, you can do that. You can download it as a PDF to present it to them if you want to just send it to them as a file, or say give it to them on a flash drive so they have a copy of that along with maybe other files. Say maybe you're a digital artist or you do a lot of digital work or paperwork, you can download them as a PDF to give them. The difference between a Word file and a PDF is a Word file is editable. So if you give that to a possible employer, they could go in and edit that document. A PDF is basically just a picture of the document, so they can't easily just go in and edit it. And if you try to edit PDFs, it's a lot more difficult if they're not already designed to be editable. And then, of course, you can always email it as an attachment. So maybe you're looking at jobs through an online website such as Indeed or something through like the Career Center, and they may ask you to email them your resume. You can do it that way as well. So let's review on what all we've gone over. You've learned how to select templates, edit your sections, change your formatting, and then how to send it or share it with others. Resumes are not limited to job searches. Again, they can be used for college applications, scholarships, internships. They're used for a variety of reasons, not just a job search. I want to thank you all again for attending the program and bearing with me through it. And I want to thank Google for all they've done, giving us all this information to be able to share with you all. We also have access to their applied digital skills curriculum. It allows people to learn skill sets that may be important as an employee or an employer, and even just for personal benefit. So things such as communication or to work in a business, such as correct emailing procedures or time management. And you can always contact me to get that information. Again, my contact is for the library is my email. It'll be tprrard, which is TPIERRARD at dcplibrary.org. Or you can call me directly and leave a voicemail, or if you happen to catch me at the desk, 270-684-0211, extension 247. Thank you again for your time, and I hope to see you all again on my next program. If there's any questions, feel free to ask me now in chat, and I'll get to you. Or again, if you'd rather just be personal, contact me with either one of those ways. Thank you.